Okay, we'll get started. Do you want to give us an opening prayer, Richard, and
Sure.
we'll get started?
Our dear Father in heaven, we're very grateful to be able to come together as patriots to fight for our republic, to fight to preserve our liberty and transparency and honesty in our state. We ask you to bless our efforts and bless thy Spirit to be with us as we go out and talk with people. We love thee, Father, and say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, so we're just going to go over this Keep My Voice initiative, what it is, kind of explain what it is and why Count My Vote. We don't think Count My Vote is the best choice. And then if you have any questions, we'll get to those as well. So the first thing is I'm going to go over why the caucus system has been good for Utah. So the caucus system I feel like has been good because it allows anybody to get involved who wants to have a voice or a say. Anybody can go and run for delegate or participate in the caucus meeting. You don't have to have money or experience. You know, I think I first became a delegate when I was 18 or something, so you don't have to really have a lot of experience. As long as you're willing to work hard and talk to your neighbors and tell them why it's important to you, then you can become a delegate. The other reason it's good is that when you become a delegate, you really, I feel like you take that responsibility seriously. You try and vet the candidates and do a good job of seeing who's going to be the best candidate for public office and ask them the tough questions. Whereas through just the regular general election process, sometimes money becomes a dominating factor, newspaper ads, TV ads, because to reach that many people, that becomes the most important thing is money. So whereas the caucus system, you can actually sit down, meet with people face to face. I remember, Jenny, when you and I, when John Swallow had resigned, we had sat down with each of the attorney general candidates and were able to just meet with them personally, and I thought that was cool how you could actually get the one-on-one experience of who's going to be the next attorney general and those kind of things. So that's why I think the caucus system is good, because it really allows a thorough vetting process to occur.
Like, was the question, was that, like when you and Jenny sat down, was that because you were state central committee member?
Yeah, so that was kind of a little bit of a different process. That's because it was a resignation. The state central committee had to submit 3 names to the governor to appoint a replacement, and then Sean Reyes got appointed. And then we'll go over how Count My Vote, we feel like Count My Vote has hurt our election process. So originally in Count My Votes, SB 54, it required the primary to be open. Through the litigation, we actually won that. We won that fight and required the primaries to be reclosed. In other states, you'll see there has been several states where the primaries are open. And in my experience, what you see is the Democrats will vote for the most moderate candidate in the primary, and then in the general, they'll of course support the Democrats. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation, I think, and so it's good to keep the primary closed, I think, and allow only Republicans to vote for Republicans, and Democrats can vote for their own choice there. Other ways it's hurt us, I think, is just giving money more influence. I can't think of any more tax increases that have been proposed at the legislature than after SB 54. It seems like they're constantly trying to increase taxes, or there's just not as much accountability, I don't think, and We've lost a lot of accountability between the people and legislature and the representatives. So I think it will be good to get that restored if we're able to get this initiative passed and restore some connections between representatives and people. Does anybody have any questions on those? What's been covered so far?
How do I know when when an election is ready for me to become a delegate, and where would I go to do that?
So, like, you mean the caucus? Like, how would you go about becoming a delegate?
Mhm.
So every 2 years there's a caucus meeting, and it's always on the even year, and you can go to your neighborhood precinct meeting to run for that position or run for precinct chair or one of the precinct leadership positions. And at that meeting, you'll either self-nominate or nominate one of your neighbors to become a delegate. And those are held usually in March. This year it's on March 22nd at 7 p.m., I believe is the date. And usually they're held at like a elementary school in your precinct or something like that. And then you can just run for those. You can talk to your neighbors and tell them why you think it's important that you be selected for that position and make your case of why you'd be a good delegate.
Like, what kind of delegates are elected at a caucus meeting?
So there's two different types. There's a county delegate, which selects people for sheriff, county commission, county auditor, treasurer, clerk, those positions. And then there are state delegates, which select attorney general, state or U.S. senator, and those positions.
Now, it's my understanding if it's a multi-county race, it's a state delegate, but like for state representative, if it's just a single county, it would be the state delegates or the county delegates, correct? Is that right?
So yeah, so if it's all within one county, then it's the county delegates.
And is that true with the Senate and the House, or just the House? Is it just, like for instance?
So if there's a House seat that encompasses more than one county, then it would be a state delegate that would select that race. We don't have.
And that applies to House and Senate. But if Senate would always be multi-county, pretty much, right?
So like Brad Last's seat, I believe that is selected by the state delegates, if I'm not mistaken, because it encompasses both Washington and Idaho County. So, but John Westwood's seat that he's retiring from is just one county, so that would just be the county delegates that select that. So some points on why we think this initiative is important. There's some flyers and bumper stickers and stuff up here. But the Keep My Voice initiative is really about freedom of association. It permits members of registered political parties to seek the nomination through the convention process. It repeals the forced provision that registered political parties must allow candidates primary ballot access through a signature gathering process. It normalizes state election costs prior to SB 54. Unlike Count My Vote's direct primary election initiative, that the Governor's Office of Management and Budget estimates could increase up to $3.35 million per election cycle. Preserves the signature path to the ballot for unaffiliated candidates. And then here's, if you guys want to look over these are the fiscal impact studies by the Governor's Office on Count My Vote and Keep My Voice. Keep My Voice will save money, and Count My Vote will.
Do you have general numbers on how much money it'll save? Over the course of a year or anything? And where that money comes from?
So for the Count My Vote, vote initiative, the Governor's Office of Management and Budget estimates the law proposed by this initiative would result in a total fiscal expense of up to $3.35 million every 2 years, including costs for runoff elections, which are up to $2.9 million. Additional primary elections are up to $400,000, and signature verification and miscellaneous costs are approximately $50,000. Candidate and voter behavior may change these estimates. In addition, the cost of posting information regarding the proposed initiative in Utah's statewide newspapers and for printing additional pages for the voter information pamphlet is estimated at $30,000 in one-time funds. And that's from the budget, or from the Governor's Office of Management and Budget. And then for the Keep My Voice initiative, Freedom of Association initiative, the Governor's Office of Management and Budget estimates that the law proposed would be a one-time fiscal expense of $30,000, an ongoing savings of between $30,000 and $245,000 every 2 years by eliminating the signature verification costs. Signature verification costs were roughly $30,000 in 2016. If all candidates had submitted signatures, this cost would have been $245,000. The one-time expense of $30,000 is needed for the cost of posting information regarding the proposed initiative in Utah's statewide newspapers and for printing additional pages in the voter information pamphlet. So essentially this initiative would just basically repeal SB 54. It would preserve the freedom of association rights, and I believe be a good thing for allowing people to allow the party to make their decision on using the convention process and not being forced. One example that I always go to lately is the John Curtis race. The delegates gave John Curtis, I think it was 12%, but then he circumvented them with signatures and was able to raise a lot of money and ended up becoming the nominee in the end. And the problem that you saw there was Tanner Ainge, Chris Herod splitting the vote, and John Curtis getting in because there was no majority vote required. So I think that's one of the big flaws with the SB 54 and Count My Vote is there's no majority required, and that's something that they're trying to fix with the Count My Vote initiative, but at a big expense to the taxpayers, as you
Why
can
is
see.
that like, what's their fix for that?
Well, so their fix is to have a runoff election between the top two candidates, but
So you'd have to basically have the cost of two primaries.
right.
So if somebody doesn't get it, what is it, like 34%, then they'll
I
have to have
believe
another
it's
runoff.
it's either 30 or 35%, and then if you don't achieve that threshold, then you go to a runoff. So, I think the caucus system has worked fine. I mean, there's certainly fixes that can be made. I think it was 2014 we made several fixes like same-day balloting, those kind of things to help missionaries and military service members, those kind of things, so that they could participate. It's definitely not a perfect system, but I think we can certainly work on improvements to it and make it better. But I don't think SB 54 has been good at all.
So Blake, how does this initiative, how will it affect if it was to pass, how does it affect the litigation that's ongoing? And we're waiting for a decision from the 10th Circuit Court on the appeal. How will that affect the lawsuit that's going through the court system?
Well, they're saying that we'll get a decision on the litigation within the next couple of months, so I don't think that's gonna be an issue. I think we'll have a decision before the
What if
issue.
what if the party was victorious on the lawsuit? How would that, and they were victorious on it, how would that affect this initiative? Whether it was Count My Vote version 2 or the Keep My Voice?
It's hard to say because it depends on what the decision is by the judges. They can remand it or they can outright make a decision. It just depends on what they decide. But, so if they remand it, then we have to go back to district court, I think it is, where Judge Newfer is, and go through some more legalese at the court level there. But they can also just make a decision